What you're about to experience are my opinions and truths. I'm suggesting they're possibilities for you to consider, in which you can then come up with your own logical conclusions. Welcome out, everyone, to another episode of Random Thoughts. My name is Logan. I'm going to be your tour guide for this presentation. It's nice to be back to doing these Random Thoughts. And if you're new to this, welcome out. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your support. For those of you that are new, Random Thoughts is a collection of different decodes. I just have so much content, and these are nice to unload some of the content that I have, because I have so many decodes that are shelved that need to be pulled down and completed, and this is a good way for me to get these out. So please check out my other Random Thoughts. I have a lot of gems in my other previous presentations of Random Thoughts, so please do check those out. Continue to support this series, this ongoing series. So let's jump right into it with this Random Thoughts number 11 and get into the categories, what we'll be discussing and breaking down. In the number one category, we're going to be breaking down role play. Number 2, pentagram, the 5-sided shape. Number 3, life of pi. Number 4, eye in the sky. Number 5, Father Time and Kronos. Number 6, we're going to break down Meta, Facebook. And in the 7th position, feed the machine. Feed the machine. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Random Thoughts number 11. Let's get into the first category, shall we? Role play. Let's have some fun with this. So I came out with this on my social media, but a lot of you are not on my social media page, so I kind of trickled those out. But nonetheless, I thought this was very, very important to show. And this goes in line with mankind being used like a puppet on strings. You'll notice that the word role play is that mighty number 30. You may have seen that movie Zero Dark 30. If you start to look around, you're going to see a hell of a lot of 30s out there. And what's really interesting is, the breakdown of the words role play. Being role played, like in a game. If you grab a remote control and you start being the character, which is how I feel this reality works. But the 17 is so big because it is the star, but you go to the numerology and, look at what role equals. Life. So it's a life play. Role play. And we're all fish down here. And we're being fished for our gold currency. 17. Even this word right here is 17. So they're all in the same Chaldean cipher. I don't even need to deviate away from that. But how about this play? Role play. So it's life play. Well, we know play, which is that 13, is also tied to this word right there. Game. And this big word right there. Lucy. But it's a game. So it's a life game is what this is. And we're being role played. However that looks. And it's the 30 and it is tied to this element zinc, but it's also tied to some other elements. I'm going to get into that later on down the line. This 65 is massive. This number here. And if you break those down, it's the 1111. But you'll see that the 30 is tied to the word demiurge. What the Gnostics, which is a Christian sect, Way back in the day, they called the god of this world the demiurge that created this reality. Not came here, created it. It created it. And then you get, this element zinc, which has 30 protons, and it's the number 16, which is really interesting because it's tied to this word hell. All in the same Chaldean family, and then you bring in another element on the periodic table, and it's sulfur, and sulfur's average weight is 32. And if you look at how water transmutes from a solid to a liquid, 33 degrees, it's a liquid, 32 degrees, it's a solid. That's the transmutation of spirit into matter, coming down, playing out this game of life in hell. You get the days of creation in there. So many syncs and all this kind of stuff. But I feel we're being role played down here in this game called life. So let's get into the next topic now. The pentagram. This powerful shape right here. Bam! The pentagram. This is a really big deal shape. And you will never look at it the same after you watch this part of the presentation. Pentagram being a 33, the mighty 33. That's, is it the Masons that made the pentagram? No. It ain't no secret society that made it. They become aware of it, yes, but doesn't mean Masonic folks. I hope if you're here now, you're past that point, because it doesn't mean that at all. But the illustrious 33, which is going to reduce down to a 6. Those of you that like to reduce down, the first perfect number in mathematics. But you'll notice that it's tied to the universe. It's tied to the word imagination. And it's also tied to this big find called iris and pupil. It's you and me. That's why the 5-pointed star is mankind. It's you and I. And I had done a decode on the bloodline. See if I can find. Here it is. And I'm sorry, illumination. Excuse me. This was a big gem. If you haven't seen this decode, please check it out. But it's tied to you and me. And are we just the architect living out our lives being used by the architect remotely? That's how I feel this game works. You can become anybody it wants to be at any time. You are the universe. I mean, this is the earth right there. Black sun, you can't miss it. It's pretty easy to see. Right there, the pentagram. So let's keep going. So this pentagram being a 5-pointed star, the 5 is a big time number in our reality because it's tied to this number right here, 20. 20 is tied to duality. Duality is tied to the word pawn, the word Jesuit, the word Mason. They're all 20, so they're all being used, all these people. If you haven't figured that out yet. And then, you do have a birthday. When you get born into this world, you get born into duality. 20. 20 is calcium. 99% of our calcium is found in the bones and teeth, forming up our skeletal structure. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you bring the elements in. And then when you synchronize it with astrology, it's the house of Leo the lion, the royal star of the lion, Regulus, and it's going to get into Yaldabaoth, back to the Gnostic demiurge. Leo is the 5th sign ruled by the sun. So we're like the great band Tool in their song Pneuma, they said, we're the sun becoming. That's right. As I have been showing, as many of you great decoders have been showing. And then, the number 5 is the only number that looks like the letter S. What does the word sun start with? S. Sun is S. S is the 19th letter. 19 is tied to the word battery. That's right, because we're batteries. We become cells in the battery, but ultimately we're torus fields, we're batteries, and it's all fractals. And when you look at the number 5, it's a very powerful number. When you look at a calculator, it's right in the dead center. There it is. Number 5 is right in the dead center of that calculator. So it's kind of, if you put a pyramid over the top of that, well, guess what gets all the energy at the tip of the pyramid? The apex. It's the 5. It's the predator. That's what it means right here. It's mankind. But this right here kind of says it all. Let me narrate this for you. Let me start over by showing you the right side of this graphic that I created. I've had this one shelved for a long time, and I just found it, and I'm like, oh, what the hell? But, a nickel. which is a 5-cent piece, 5, which is the pentagram. It's composed of 75% copper, 25% nickel. There they are. You bring alchemy into this and then you add up these weights. You do the alchemy of them. And when you add them up, you get 120 point ... But it's going to lead to antimony, the all-seeing eye, tied to man and the pentagram. This is why I feel mankind's being used. In the tarot, it's going to be the Hierophant. I mean, the Hierophant's 57 when you do the numerology of it. And then you go to the 57 here on this right here, it's nickel. I mean, Thomas Jefferson was on the freaking nickel. It's kind of funny. You can go research this guy. Please do. That's why I got him here. I'm not going to show you everything if you're curious. But then, nickel's shortened for Cumbernickel, which means devil's copper. Yeah, because you and I were the devil. That's why we're man. Man, it's 5. We're this, 5. The sun becoming. Living out our birthdays, living out in duality. We become the serpent. We live out the sine wave, the sine and cosine waves, making up magnetism and electricity. It's really easy to see once you can kind of get all these layers and bring them all together right there. I mean, it's kind of funny, right? 5-cent piece, having Jefferson on there. But this was probably the biggest takeaway right here. This right here. Please pay attention to this. I actually started decoding this because of the Queen Elizabeth's recent Platinum Jubilee, which is 70 years of service and commitment to the crown. And of course, if you take the first 7 chakras, at the very top is the number 70. Now, the reason why I'm showing this is because the first 7 pentagonal numbers are these right here. 1, 5, 12, 22, 35, 51, 70. And I mean, here's an example of that. I didn't do them all, but here's the first pentagonal number. And then 5, it's these 5 right there. And then 12, and then 22, and then you'd keep going. 35, 51, and 70. To form a fractal of the chakras inside the number 5 in the pentagon. Every number, every polygonal shape has 7 chakras in it. So there it is. There's the 7 chakras inside the pentagon. And look at what's at the top, 70, which is what the Queen just celebrated, the Platinum Jubilee, 70 years of service. And I could have kept going on and on, but this is a big deal right here, a big deal. When you add them all up, when you add up all the protons, the first 7 pentagonal numbers, you're going to get 196. Which is gold. And now you're going to get into the true essence of why human beings are living on this planet called Earth, because we're here to give our energy exchange to whatever's taking it. Lead to gold through energetic exchange. It's no secret the Greeks said we're food for the gods, ambrosia. Many different cultures will say the same things, but this is the shape, man. This is mankind. And this is gold right here. Even when you do the numerology, I mean, you want to talk about being in sync with the source code? When you do the numerology of these 7 elements making up the first 7 pentagonal numbers, the 7 chakras, right here. Here are the 7 chakras inside man. It's a match. Just in the Chaldean now, folks. That's why I feel Chaldean is the top dog cipher. That's my opinion, but look at the outcome you get. It's not a one-hit wonder I'm showing here either. I've showed this many times. But how about that? The 7 elements making up the first 7 pentagonal numbers, matching them up, equal 196, and then the numerology of all 7 elements equals 196. That's to tell you how powerful the pentagon is, the shape. And why, the United States military has the pentagon. Why it's there. Why they chose that shape. And it's on the soccer ball, and soccer's the most played sport in the world, the most viewed sport in the world, the most popular sport. For a very good reason. It's got the pentagon on it. Or the pentagram. But I mean, you can go through these one by one. Look at this, the third eye. The third eye of this whole expression here is the freaking all-seeing eye. Think about this. This is the 6th chakra representing the first 7 pentagonal numbers representing mankind. And the 6th chakra is the all-seeing eye of antimony. You see how beautiful and perfect this is? Right there. I mean, this is stuff you can't make up, and this is the source code. Mankind could never create this. This is the source code playing out in the background all the time. Right there. Bam. This is a big one right here. The six days of creation, 6, the first perfect number. The chakra, which is our third eye, is right here, and that's the all-seeing eye, 51. What do you think the odds would be? Well, very good when you're looking at the source code, and that's what you're looking at, is you're looking at the source code. All right, let's get into the next topic now, the movie. The movie, those of you that have seen it, Life of Pi. Life of Pi. What a great movie this was. And you can break down this movie if you want to, but I just thought it was really interesting because Pi, as most of you know, my last name is Payette. It's in my code to show you, and the reason why I chose to use Pi, it chose me because I am Pi. Pi is me with my last name. There's so many syncs for myself personally with Pi, but you know, I have 5 planets in my third house in astrology. I mean, I could show you so many syncs in my life of Pi. But anyway, the Life of Pi is the third sign in the Chinese. This is the Chinese now. And the third house in Chinese is the tiger, which is what was on his little boat. The tiger. How he had to make friends with the tiger. Had to make friends with the tiger. Right there. The tiger. 3.14. And then when you go to the Western, you're going to get Gemini, the 2 twins. And now you're going to be in prison. Prison is Pi. You ain't getting out until you die. I mean, this is the symbol of Gemini right here. I just put the hands there for fun. But this is totally how it works. Stuck inside the circle. This is the perfect circle. This is Earth. And you're going to get squaring the circle. And then you get the box. And then you're going to get the tetrahedron. Those 3 shapes. But Gemini. So it's Gemini and the tiger in the cage. And you're going to get into now some Greek mythology with Castor and Pollux. Castor and Pollux represents Gemini. How very fitting that they do, because look at what their numerology is tied to. The 52, which is a match to the words prison planet, as I've been showing. And what is 52? The element on the periodic table, tellurium, comes from the Latin word tellus, which means earth. That's right, Earth is a prison. It's a beautiful one when you can stop pointing fingers and blaming other things and just enjoy the ride. But the big takeaways for this is, like Castor's 20. What's 20? Duality. The word duality equals 20. The word birthday equals 20. The word pawn equals 20. And then Pollux is 32. And what degrees does water freeze at? 32 degrees. So you have a perfect scenario right here with numerology and Greek mythology showing you that the third sign of Gemini, the 2 twins, which is going to lead to the Kundalini and the 2 serpents, is going to lead you to duality twice. Duality is the number 20 in numerology, and then water freezes at 32 degrees. That's the transmutation of a liquid to a solid, telling you that you go into the ice. You become physicalness. 33 is ascension. 32 is descension. This is perfect right here, this code, telling you that you get stuck in the prison planet. And there's that 127 from the average atomic weight of tellurium, most abundance 129, but it's the 127 being the 31st prime. And what is pi? 3.1. I mean, you can't miss it right there. And the subtleties, soap debt in the Egyptian name for Sirius is 31. Very, very important, these layers. When you get into the Castor and Pollux original spellings from Greek, I like to, a lot of people ask me, well, can you use other languages? Yeah, this is it right here, Greek. I love using original languages. Here's Castor and Pollux, and it's 17 and 47. More comedy, I'm going to show you that. But when you do the alchemology of the 17 and the 47, you're going to get chlorine and silver. You can break down all the individual letters, but 17 is chlorine, and 47 is silver. Silver is the most electric element on the periodic table. Then when you go over to the trusty calculator and you add them up, look what you get. You get pi. You see how powerful this is? And then 64 is how many codons we have in our DNA. 64 squares on a chessboard telling you that you're in duality. You're in prison. That's the comic joke. That's what this symbol means. You got to have fun with this, folks. You can't take it so serious because you're here until you die. So you might as well make the best of it instead of blaming other people and organizations. And you got to take that energy back and go create something with it. And then, this 17, if you haven't seen my bloodline decoded, let me see, here it is right here. 17, check out my bloodline decoded. I broke down all the blood types, but I feel that O positive, O positive, O negative was the first blood type ever introduced, and it's going to be tied to this 17th element called chlorine. Please go check it out. But think about what I'm showing you. If I'm correct, if the first blood type was O, and it's tied to chlorine, and you're talking about Castor and Pollux, and it's right there in the original Greek spelling, and it's tying to pi, and pi is the perfect circle, which is Earth. We make up pi through the sine and cosine waves, giving off our energetic currency, which is what we're being mined for, our currency. It's pretty easy to start seeing this kind of stuff. And then lastly, on this topic, the life of pi, from the movie to Castor and Pollux, we now bring in the cards of illumination. And here's the comedy, and here's more ties to me, because right here, this is my birth card, and it's card 47. Tied to the tetragrammaton, tied to titanium and the fallen angel story. Fallen angel story. That's written in the script. Don't know if it really happened, but it's definitely written into the script. Here's card 47. Here's the tarot card associated with it. This is the 58th card, 57, 58, depending on how you view your spread. But 58's tied to the puppet master. And then Castor is the 4 clubs. This is the mind of the cosmos, and it's the 26 card in the tarot. It's the 4 of wands, 26 being our blood, iron. More comedy when you connect the dots on all this kind of stuff. And then you get the 48, which is, I'm going to show you that just a little bit as we move along. Let's get into the next topic now, called Eye in the Sky, which is serious, but let's have some fun with this. So let's start off at the very top. Let me narrate this for all of you. So Eye in the Sky is 37. Okay? And 37 is tied to this word right here called shepherd. So I don't know why it just came to me, like, a little voice in my head came to me, sheep and shepherd. And there it was, the shepherd, 30. So the eye in the sky is the shepherd. And what do shepherds do? They herd sheep. And sheep's 26. And we have iron in our blood. We connect to the 26th element, iron. And when you're a sheep, you buy into all the stories, including this one, Adam and Eve, which is just going to tie into physics anyway. But you're herded by the shepherd. The shepherd, the eye in the sky, rules over you. The eye in the sky watching you, looking at fools. I mean, if you take the element on the periodic table, if you're not a believer, with the periodic table, you should start getting into it and using it with your numerology outcomes. It's very powerful. But it's this element called rubidium. Now, this is the average weight of rubidium. It does have its most abundant, which is 84, which is going to go and link to this right here, this connection. But nonetheless, there's the 37 protons, rubidium. And most of you know what the loop, the 193746, is tied to the eye in the sky. I mean, even the icon the Royal Society of Chemistry uses for rubidium is a freaking electric eye. This is the description of it right here, right off their website. Now, was it their intention to know that it's eye in the sky? Maybe, maybe not. But now you're seeing it. And this right here is not evil, folks. It just means the all-seeing eye. That's all it means. It has nothing to do with Satan or the devil or these concepts that people come up with. It just means it's the shepherd. It's the shepherd, right? And so this was really interesting because, I had on here this sheep because I have sheep here. So, maybe you've seen the commercial by this company right here, the largest mattress company in the United States, Serta Mattresses. And they're famous for their Counting Sheep campaign. They advertise it. It's animated. You may have seen the one with Donald Trump. Here they are. And it's counting sheep. So here's the comedy. So counting sheep is a 60. And when you count the sheep, when you're sleeping, you're in the nightmare. Nightmare is 30. You feed the wolf. You see, whether you're daydreaming or sleeping, whether you're asleep or awake, you're feeding the wolf. And the wolf is you. It's me. You can't help it. You can't help it. And this 60 is tied to this element, which is used to make magnets, by the way. Magnetic. Remember, we live in a magnetic and electric universe. Neodymium, magnetic. This is where Keanu Reeves got his name Neo for the Matrix, I feel. There it is. It's neodymium. And it's the most abundant weight is 141. There's your pi. You're counting sheep on the perfect circle, which is pi, which is Earth. When you're sleeping on the mattress. And you're feeding the wolf, and the wolf's just going to be you. This is Tom tied to Thomas, which is the devil, which is you and me and everybody else. So how about this animation company that, made these sheep come alive? Serta. They hired this company called Aardman Animations. So I broke it down. And I look at their founding date, the 12th of April. Of course, I'm going to fact check that against the cards. Those of you that are new, here's the boilerplate chart for the cards of illumination. Got the 12 months running vertically, horizontally, and then the 31 days running vertically. And you have all your dates in there. And you should know what your cards are. But the 12th of April is the 9 diamonds card. Here's the comedy. It's the 35th card in the deck. 35th. And it's tied to the word simulation. And the reason why I have Neo here, because guess what? Keanu Charles Reeves, his birthday. Guess what card he's got? Let's go, because he's born on September 2nd. Here it is, September 2nd, 9 diamonds. So you got the 9 diamonds for Keanu Charles Reeves, tied to the simulation, which is what we're all living out through our daydreaming, awake, and asleep states. And we're counting sheep. We're feeding the wolf. And there's the 60. There's the tie-in to Neo and the movie The Matrix. It's all tied together. I mean, come on, folks. Serta didn't hire Aardman Animations based upon knowing that they had this as their founding date. Come on. Tied to simulation. But as fate would have it, you see, it's Keanu Charles Reeves. Is he a sponsor of Serta? Is that how far we want to go? Are they all in a big conspiracy to screw you over? To try to pull the woolly over your eyes? The wool. Do you think they're all trying to mock you? Do you think that's what's going on, folks? Or do you really just think that this is the source code playing out through mankind? Yeah, well, that's what I believe, and that's how I can wrap my mind around this. And, even this element right here, bromine, is 35, tied to the simulation. Bromine's 26, tied to sheep. See, so when you're in the simulation, you kind of become that sheep, and your shepherd is the all-seeing eye, the eye in the sky. That's it. And, when you wake up from this dream that you're in and you realize you're in a simulation, it's a game changer. It's really a game changer, but you can't help but feed the wolf because it's inevitable. Because the wolf is the machine. Machine is 24, wolf is 24. I'm going to be breaking that down. But look, even the founders, the name Peter and David, if you know what you're looking for, it's just ridiculous. It just keeps going on and on. But anyway, let's get into the next topic now. The mighty timekeeper, Kronos. I like using Kronos more than I do Saturn because Kronos came first. Kronos starts with the letter K. K is the number 11. Kronos is going to be tied to Yaldabaoth as well. It's tied directly to Yaldabaoth. So, this is, a lot of you have been doing this, but I started spelling out words many moons ago using the periodic table. When I started to decode using the periodic table, really hot and heavy, I don't know, I just got the idea pumped into my mind. My mind's being used. Hey, start spelling out some words. So I did. And this was a big find right here. And this should tell you the source code. Not every word you can spell out, of course, but you could spell out kronos. And if you know what you're looking for, like, we breathe these two elements. Well, we don't breathe the elements, but I should say we breathe these. Air is made up of primarily nitrogen and oxygen. And lo and behold, kronos has it in its spelling. How about that? And then you get sulfur 16. This is tied to hell. And 36 is tied to the operating system. I mean, it's all right here, just in the elements on the periodic table spelling out Father Time. But when you do the alchemy of these and you add them all up, look what you get. You get the golden ratio tied to the Fibonacci sequence. I created a Fibonacci extended cipher. I got this coming out soon. 161. It's very, very important, the golden ratio. So when you take this a step further and you actually go into the golden ratio, the number 161 occupies 3 digits, of course. 1933, 1934, 1935. Here it is in the string of the golden ratio. Those of you that are new, this is the website that I use right here called Symbolism.com. And you just click on the little golden ratio and you can just type in the number 161 and there it is. It occupies these 3 digits starting at 1933. And when you add up all 3 of those digits, you're going to get 5,802. What's really fascinating is here's Saturn's magic square. I mean, it doesn't have the 0 there, but it's got the 8, 5, and 2 right there, which is the numbers that are encased in this diamond shaped. Lucy in the sky with diamonds, tied to Saturn in some way, some shape or form. I know that, but look what's in the middle, that number 5. The pentagram. Folks, it's all connected. It's all connected. What about when we add up the protons of these elements? We added up the weights. We add up the protons, krypton, oxygen twice, nitrogen, and sulfur. 36, 8, 7, 8, 16, get the number 75. The word Lucifer now, not Lucifer, but Halil or hell, the original spelling of it, Hyll, is 75. So where are you going to get Satan and the devil from? Saturn, the timekeeper. Running out of time. Time decays everything. But anyway, here's the number 75 in the golden ratio, occupies 2 digits, 103 and 104. 103 and 104, you add that up, you're going to get 207, and bam, there it is. Saturn's element is known as lead. It's right there, you can't miss it. And then, even the 103, when you go to the numberempire.com, it's the 27th prime number. 27's tied to currency. And then how I know that Chaldean's the top dog cipher, there it is, 27. And when you take all the letters of the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you add them, it's going to give you 103. 103. Chaldean's the top dog cipher. Right there. You can't miss it. But it's tied to Kronos and Father Time. So we know it's lead, right? Kronos' element's lead. So let's take lead and do the numerology of that. Lead becomes the number 13. And 13, when you bring it into the string of pi, the number 79 appears at the 13th decimal digit. 13 and 14 is going to give you 27. 27 is tied to currency. I just showed that. But it's lead to gold. So we know that, lead is 207, and then there's the gold, found from the numerology of lead, which is what Saturn's main element is known for. So see how beautiful this is? This is the source code. Man never coded this, could never code it. It's too many moving parts. You can decode anything, you're going to find all the moving parts, and you'd be like, wow, how could man ever code this? They couldn't. They never did. It's mankind being used. What about the golden ratio? Where does that number 13 appear? Found from the numerology of lead. Occupies digits 55 and 56. 55 and 56, 55 and 56. You add that up, you're going to get 111. The master triple 111 is going to tie to the magic square of the sun. The sun and Saturn are kind of in bed together somehow, some shape or some form. But then you get this element right here. See, 55 and 56 going to be found from iron. Iron's atomic weight is 55 for its average. 56 is the other isotope that's stable. Go look these things up. What is 56 tied to? Lights, camera, action. So when you become lead down here, when you become lead and you become a human being, it's the movie. It's movie time. It's time to watch the movie, The Truman Show. You become part of the soap opera. It's all theater down here. That's why life's a joke. And then lastly, for this Kronos, how about the card? You see, lead, the Latinized spelling of it is this right here, plumbum. It's kind of a funny name, I think. Plumbum. It's 33. Remember, it's tied to universe and the iris and the pupil when I showed you that? That's why Saturn has such a big say in all this. But when you take the 33rd card, 33, and you bring it to the cards of illumination, how massively important these are. Here's the 33rd card, the 7 of diamonds, tied to the crucifixion date as well. Lucifer's tied to the 33 as well as Jesus. But here is the master spirit configuration, the spread. Of those of you who've been paying attention for the cards of illumination, here's the 7 of diamonds card, and it's in the row of Saturn going horizontally and Saturn going vertically. This is the Saturn card right here in this master spirit, the handler configuration, as I like to call it. If you get on the ego side, it's going to be the 9 of hearts, pairing up with the Venus card. Saturn and Venus, big time connection. But there it is, the 7 of diamonds. So when Jesus says, he's got a father, well, it's likely tied to Kronos, father time. Time gets everything. So let's now get into the second to the last topic called Meta. Facebook. This is a big one right here. Meta. Here's the guy. You know this guy. Meta's focus is to bring people to connect. What does Meta mean? I mean, they changed it to, it has the 8 number here, the torus field on its side. And this to me is representing magnetism. Magnetic, starts with the letter M, 13th letter, tied to Lucy in the sky, to diamonds, time to lead. Metaverse is 35. That's what they're talking about, the metaverse. Well, isn't it interesting that Facebook, which is a 35, was actually founded on the 35th day of the year. And I know this very well because this is my birthday. I was born on February 4th. 35 is tied to the simulation. What is the meta going to be all about? Simulation. It's just going to be a fractal down. I mean, I can tell you, this guy was not consciously sitting there creating Facebook and looking at numerology and forecasting the future, and no. And it's 2-4. It's 24. February 4th is 2-4. And remember, Wolf is 24. Machine is 24. All these syncs. And then it leaves 330 days remaining till the end of the year. It's my birthday. But anyway, how about the 5 members, the original creators of Facebook? These 5. They equal the golden ratio. Think about what I'm showing you here. And then you go back to Kronos, and you can see how it's tied to the golden ratio. Right here. So what do you think's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Father Time. I mean, do you think this is just pure coincidence? This is not a one-hit wonder. I've shown this in many other people, places, and things. Their last names are 161. How about that? Tied to the Kronos. Father Time. Tied to the box that we live in. Ruled over by time. So it gets really interesting. So when you take the founding location of Facebook, there it's at Cambridge, Massachusetts. Not too far from where I was born. There it is. I mean, and the subtleties. And I've been showing how important the latitude, longitude is when you do your decoding. You should know where you were born. You should know where you're living right now. The energy, it's like X marks the spot. The latitude is going to be the energy coming down, and the longitude is the energy going across. Essentially, I feel it makes up magnetism and electricity. But it's the 42. Life, the universe, everything, 42. Life, the universe, everything, 42. 42 is tied to molybdenum, which means lead. We've been showing how important this is. Lead tied to Saturn and I mean, think about what I'm showing you here. These guys' last names all linked to the 161. 161 is tied to the spelling of Kronos through alchemy. This is called alchemology. And then you get the 71. And that's the element lutetium tied to Lucifer, the light bringer. And when you add these two up, 42 and 71, you're going to get this number right there, 113. And it's the 30th prime number. This is a big deal right here. Because if you haven't seen this decode yet, please check it out. It's one of my latest ones, Bloodlines, where we all came from. I have the blood types, and the blood types, the 8 known blood types, is going to add up to the number 286 through numerology, Chaldean once again. And the element that contains the 286 is this element called Nihonium. It means from Japan, and Japan's known as the land of the rising sun. That equals 71. And it's the 113 protons. That's the dead giveaway. And then you get the rabbit and Alice and being stuck in the box and all that. Think about what I'm showing you here. Facebook is designing to bring you all into the metaverse, putting you into a deeper fractal of what this life is all about. This is what this is telling me right here. Just got to have the eyes to see it. So I'm really having to take a fresh approach to my decoding through the periodic table. Like, there's many different ways to look at these, but I feel this is the proper representation of this 113 being the 30th prime number right here. Cadmium and silicon. Now you can tie this to phosphorus and you're going to get Lucifer there, of course. You're going to get Lucifer right here in the latitude, the longitude, I mean. So Lucifer's in there, the light bringer, because Lucifer's tied to Yaldabaoth, it's tied to the Tetragrammaton, it's tied to Saturn. I feel like they're all one and the same. But it's cadmium and silicon. Silicon is representing the future. So if you haven't seen this decode, I keep going to some of my decodes. Right. The two thieves. The two thieves decoded. Please check this one out. But I showed the cross. So it sits on your face. And these are the 6 elements, 6, that make up the cross. And right here, representing the future, moving forward, is silicon, as in Silicon Valley, the tech capital of the world. The tech what does meta mean? Technology. I mean, if all from the latitude longitude of where Facebook was originally discovered or invented or sourced out, or however you want to pronounce it, however you want to come up with the way it started, the founding place. Cambridge, Harvard, all found from the latitude longitude. See, they're not sitting down with this. Like, Mark Zuckerberg didn't go to Harvard because he knew this information. No way. But here we are decoding it, and I'm showing you, and let me just show you, let me go deeper with this. So we know the 30. Here's where the value of the medicine cards, the 52 cards of the medicine deck. Just want to be really transparent here. They are right here. Those of you that are new, these are the 52 cards of what are called the medicine cards. They're using animals, insects, reptiles, etc., etc. And here's the 30th card, the rabbit card. If you want these graphics, just send me an email. I'll send them to you. decodeyourreality@gmail.com. My email is decodeyourreality@gmail.com. Just put your name there and just pay it forward. There's the rabbit, 30. And what does the rabbit represent? Going down into time. That's what it represents. It's the architect or architects or whatever created this reality coming down into time. And what rules over time? Saturn does. So is it just Saturn sending players down here to the game? And are we just going into the quantum realm with going to the metaverse? Is that the next step in the evolution of mankind? Which eventually would be transhumanism. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to be very crystal clear. I am not advertising, marketing that. It is just a concept, an idea. That's it. I'm neutral to anything, wherever we're going in this reality. You ain't going to move it. It's going to move you because you're living out through the source code. So this is telling all of us that Facebook, the ideas, they're being expressed through these people, but their minds are not their own. And this is the rabbit going down into time. Time is ruled by kronos. It's right there. You can't miss these concepts. And when you go even further with this, you do the numerology of these two elements, cadmium and silicon, you get the 46, which is going to be tied to the Simpsons show and Matt Groening and all that stuff, but it's 23 and 23. Thought this was really interesting. How about this company? What does the 23 mean? The chromosomes. See, you have 23 pairs for a total of 46. I mean, think about what I'm showing you here. All found from this 11330 prime number sequence right here. From the latitude, longitude of Facebook. Now, you could just brush this off and say, oh yeah, Logan, you just stretch this stuff. But go watch more. I got hundreds of more videos showing the same stuff. So before you judge what I'm showing you here, please go check out more videos. Because you'd be ignorant by saying that. So I'm telling you right now, this is how the machinations of this reality works. Right here. You're seeing it. Okay, you're seeing that. And Facebook is trying to push you into the metaverse. So let's get into the 48 and the 14. I'm going to go more medicine cards now. So here's the 48 and the 14. Found from the Facebook latitude, longitude. Bringing in the medicine cards. Look at what it's showing us here. The wild boar 48, cadmium, tied to the 113, and then the dog. And I mean, if you really sit here and think about what I'm showing you here, what is God spelled backwards? And those of you that are pet owners, you're the handler of the dog. You think it just stops there? You don't think anything's handling you? Oh, I have complete free will in my life. How are you to prove that? So this 14 is the dog. And this is the comedy because the people that created these cards, they weren't sitting down with these layers. They had no knowledge of this stuff. I guarantee it. This is the source code. Somebody creates a card deck, supposed to create it, part of the source code. And then you could decode from it. Find these layers. But I mean, those of you that are theology fans, here's where the only mention of Halil, it's not even Lucifer. By the way, it's hell, Hyll. There is no Lucifer in the Old Testament. Isaiah 14 verses 12. What better animal, right? Because it's the wild boar, which is just going to be an expression of magnetism. That's all it is. And then into electricity, physics. But there it is, Isaiah 14 verses 12. And it's 26. And then you get the connection. This is the original spelling of the Yahweh character in the Bible. See, the Yahweh tetragrammatons is going to be tied to Halo. It's one and the same, and it's going to be tied to Yaldabaoth. One and the same. You can tie it to Allah. You can tie it to Brahma. They're all the same, just a different name, title given. It's just people get bored. But it's tied to our blood. So it's whatever creates this reality comes down and plays out its own game. Because remember, Adam and Eve's 26. We have iron in our blood, so I have the blood splatter. 26. 26. So when you keep going, here's kind of the ending of this, of the meta. And I have one more topic. So we bring in the cards of illumination. Here's the 48th card, the 9 spades. Here's the 14th card. The ace clubs, tied from the cadmium and silicon, from Facebook and the latitude longitude, the meta. And we have the 9 of swords, the conversion of the 9 of spades, and the 9 of swords is the 59th card in the deck. And you go to the lineages of the cards and there it is. 59. I'm using the Fool as 0 and 22. So there's the 22 spot. One of the most popular. You can take it out, it'll switch it over and move it, but these numbers encroach, so it's not going to matter. It's just going to give you a different rendition of it. But this is tied to the game of life. So think about what I'm showing you here for pictures. That's how valuable the tarot is. Like your spirit And you want to come down and play the game. Well, what's part of the game? Suffering, pain, anger, resentment, all the nasty stuff. You may get stabbed, shot at, murdered. You have people that'll have those things happen. You may be in a war. You may be in a hurricane, a tornado. Your house may be ripped out of its roots. You may lose your company. It's all worry, stress, doubt. This is the nightmare card. Nightmare is 30. The word nightmare is 30, folks. If you think about what I'm showing you here, nightmare is 30. The word nightmare is 30. It's tied to the game of life. That's what this tells us. And then when you come down into the Ace of Wands, found from the Ace of Clubs, this is card 23. And then we go right back to the blood, being a human. And we also go to the pineal gland. Same thing. The word crown equals 23. The word history equals 23. Many words. This is called the Royal Star of the Lion. It's the architect coming down and becoming man. That's what this is, to me, is all telling us. And this is like the seed planter right here. This is the mental realm. The ace is the clubs are the mental, the mind of mankind. And we're moving into the metaverse. And here's the meta. Meta is the name of the actual company they chose. Facebook, the merge of that. Well, it's a 14. The word time equals 14. The word God equals 14. The word Satan equals 14. Pi is 3.14. Folks, these are all connections. All in the same cipher. 43 is the 14th prime number. We go back. The medicine cards were really the standout during this presentation. Here's the spider card, the World Wide Web, the spider spinning its web, number 43. Tied to that number 14. Tied to the dog, 14. See, when you come down and incarnate into a human being, you become a dog. And now you get a handler. Your mind's not your own, ladies and gentlemen. And then lastly, to finish this up, and I'll ask you what you saw, but this is very fitting because here's the 43rd element, technetium. And it means artificial. Now, artificial to me just means that man made it. Doesn't mean that it's, that God didn't create it or whatever you want to call God or created this reality that's using mankind. So the whole artificial thing is just really, it's irrelevant to me. But here it is. It's Silicon Valley. You see? And where is the tech capital of the world? Silicon Valley, which is on the crown chakra, because that part of the world in the United States, if you lay the chakras across the United States, that's going to be in the crown area. All right, let's get into the last topic now of this Random Thoughts number 11, the title, Feed the Machine. That's right, Feed the Machine. Now, this was from this amazing album by the great rock band Nickelback. Think about the word Nickelback. I don't know how they came up with their name, but I showed the nickel tied to the pentagram, how powerful the five-star shape is. Tied to nickel, which is tied to the sun. Nickelback. But Feed the Machine, the comedy is it's the number 60, and that's tied to Feed the Wolf. You see, machine is a 24, and that's a match to the word wolf. Feed the Wolf, Feed the Machine. From this album, from the great band Nickelback. And I decided, what is the release date of this album? June 16th. Of course, 16th is tied to sulfur. But here's the card tied to June 16th. It's the Ace Diamonds card. It's the card of currency tied to the dragonfly in the medicine deck. And, that 27, of course, is tied to the 103, which is the 27th prime number. 27 is tied to the word Chaldean. Feed the Machine. It's tied to our magic spells that we speak as well. And then the length of the song, these subtleties that most people may not look at. You could do it, it's 302 minutes, which is going to be tied to duality, because 32 is the number that's associated to when water transmutes into a solid. But 502 is the 52. And folks, this is the comedy. You see, this is the comedy, the subtleties, but tied to the prison planet. Feed the Machine. tied to tellurium. Tellus means the earth, and the 52, magnetism and electricity. And that's exactly what this planet is all about and designed around, magnetic and electric. 26 and 26. 26 is tied to iron in our blood. It's all right there. Feed the machine. I mean, the song. Please go listen to this song. It's like, stop asking questions, just get in line. Just get in line. No more questions. Nickelback, Feed the Machine. That's what this is all about, ladies and gentlemen. The entire reality that we live in is a machine. You are a construct of the machine. You are part of the source code, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to enjoy the ride. That's the beauty, is surrendering to knowing that there's a source code playing out and then just letting go and enjoying the ride. And, you know, this is kind of where I'm going to leave it right here. Feed the machine is 60. Feed the wolf is 60. Mankind, you may have heard me say this. Same cipher. Mankind is being used. Just got to have fun with it, folks. Tied to Neo and neodymium, the freedom in knowing that you're part of the source code and it's using you is, very liberating. To me, anyway, it's very liberating. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, what is it that you saw during this Random Thoughts number 11? I would love to hear your comments. Please leave them in the description below. Just keep them cordial, But I'd love to hear your comments. And again, these are my opinions and truths. So you don't have to agree with everything I say here. You got to make the truth your own. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining me. Thanks for all your donations and your Patreons. Those of you that are helping out with this decoding mission, those of you that are interested in a reading, send me an email for that request, decodeyourreality@gmail.com. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got. Until next time, we will see you later.